I just wanted to kind of take like a trip to the past with this painting.
Fighting for their place in a game they love, from the ice to the sweet streets of Sugar Hill, where African Americans thrived in the early 1900s.
That's why it was called Sugar Hill, because life was sweet. But trust me, people worked hard.
Leaving their mark, a 6-year-old's bravery would advance the cause of civil rights, changing the face of education across the country. And Florida's first black school erected right here in Duval. Taking a look at the past while forging ahead for a brighter future.
We've come a long way, but we still have some challenges before us, and we gotta keep pushing.
This is a First Coast News special presentation, Vivid Hues, Stories of Black History.
I'm Keitha Nelson. Tonight on Vivid Hues, Stories of Black History, a journey of discovery. We're uncovering stories of the past, told through the brushstrokes of local artists and history makers. Florida's first school for African American children sits on West Ashley Street in La Villa. Artist Jarrett Walker and notable graduates Nat Glover and Dr. Norma Solomon White share the story of Stanton.
A school with a storied past that continues to rear generations of leaders. Formed by a group of formerly enslaved who sought to educate their children in Jacksonville.
The Stanton Institute, a 2-story wooden building erected in 1868, sat along Ashley Street in downtown.
Under a segregated education system, the first school for black students in the state of Florida was ravaged by fire in 1882. A replacement was built, and it too was destroyed. The Great Fire of 1901 consumed most of Jacksonville, destroying the Stanton School building, and again, another wooden structure is erected in its place.
History is made within its walls, a building, a name, with clouds. Lift Every Voice and Sing was first performed at Stanton in 1900. The song's creator, James Weldon Johnson, was its principal at the time. By 1914, the wooden schoolhouse was declared a fire hazard.
Johnson fought for a fireproof brick building, and it still stands to this day.
The Stanton name would be transferred to a new building on 13th Street in La Villa.
In the early 1980s, Stanton College Preparatory School is born, and it is now recognized as one of the top performing schools in the nation.
Stanton has had many notable graduates, history makers, including Nathaniel Glover.
And Dr. Norma Solomon White.
We sat down with those two history makers, Dr. Norma Solomon White and Nat Glover, as they reminisced about their time at Stanton.
There was no cutting up in the halls. We had to go straight from one place to the next.
Norma Solomon White, class of 1951.
We had the kind of teachers who encouraged us and inspired us and made sure that we all did the right thing. You know, everybody had to be obedient.
That firm approach reared leaders and history makers.
I see it as the foundation of education in this community for African Americans.
Jacksonville's first black sheriff, Nat Glover, former Edward Waters College president.
I graduated from Stanton in 1961. Always felt privileged in a way to have graduated from New Stanton.
Before making history, he made major plays on Stanton's football team.
I played 1 year. I was an all-conference guard, most valuable offensive lineman. Ended up with a full scholarship to Edward Waters College.
He stepped into a well-known rivalry during his 1 year on the field, the East-West Classic.
I think we lost, so had to live with that one.
But we always knew that the band was going to win. You know, the marching bands were outstanding, and both of them had very good band directors, but Stanton always came out on top. And I'm not just saying that because I was in Stanton Band.
White also made history after graduating from Stanton and joining the Marching 100 at Florida A&M University as their first female band member. She led the international public service organization Alpha Kappa Alpha Incorporated as its 25th president.
It's okay to be okay, and it's good to be good, but you strive to be the best.
A lot of history makers, again, coming from Stanton. There's just something in the water there, must be.
Well, I tell you, whatever it is, I'm glad we were a part of it.
A 6-year-old girl walked into a school building back in 1960 in New Orleans with 4 U.S. Marshals by her side. Surrounded by an angry mob, artist Maya Freeman and advocate Taylor Richardson share the story of civil rights icon Ruby Bridges.
Through the eyes of a child with a pure heart, crowds of people chanting, barricades, cameras, officers on horseback and motorcycles. Surely this must be a parade. 150 black New Orleans kindergartners were given an entrance exam, tested to see if they had what it took to keep up with the white students. 6 of them passed. 2 chose to stay out of the fray. November 14th, 1960, 4 little girls will integrate New Orleans schools. It wasn't Mardi Gras. The crowd's chants were not that of revelry, but hate. Leona Tate, Gail Entienne, and Tessie Prevost attended McDonough 19 Elementary. Ruby Bridges walked into William Frantz Public School, alone. Escorted by 4 U.S. Marshals sent by then President Dwight Eisenhower. The isolation continued, inside, as she watched parents rush to pull their children out of school and away from her. A small girl, just 6 years old, taking on a monumental fight. By day 2, the crowds doubled, with threats of hanging the 6-year-old. Others promised to poison her. Unaware of her bravery, simply told by her parents to behave, little Ruby would advance the cause of civil rights, changing the face of education across the country.
You just heard there from Taylor Richardson. This is her mural on Jacksonville's Upper East Side. She has raised hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years for various initiatives. But her quest, literally reaching for the stars, began at an early age with the help of some really big names.
How much money have you raised?
$50,000.
$50,000? That is amazing. You know what? I'm going to match your $50,000. There you go.
Thank you.
So now you got $100,000.
Taylor Richardson in 2018 crowdfunding to send young girls to a screening of A Wrinkle in Time. Appearing on Good Morning America, she'd go on to be named one of People magazine's 2021 Girls Changing the World.
I feel like the 2 things that I value the most is perseverance and self-love. Frederick Douglass has a quote that says, "The soul within me no man can degrade," and I feel like that personally means that we need to know our worth and continue the fight of fighting for equality and make sure that we know who we are.
Before attending Spelman, an historically black college, Taylor was often the minority in every classroom she entered, and says she's been bullied because of the color of her skin. There are figures in history whose stories Richardson can relate to, turn to for inspiration to carry on. Ruby Bridges.
I feel like she is the reason we have made progress in education and reminds me to stand firm in the face of adversity.
At just 6 years old, Bridges integrated New Orleans schools in 1960.
Her fight for education is similar to mine because I'm so passionate about education being the key to freedom. And I also feel like she knew that it was part of a bigger picture. She knew that other black girls like myself were following her footsteps.
She aspires to one day make history herself as the first black woman on Mars. Grateful for role models such as Dr. Mae Jemison, the first Black woman to travel into space, to look up to.
Celebrating Black History Month is crucial in regards to recognizing and honoring the Black individuals who've made substantial achievements across the world. I feel like it serves as a reminder of not only the resilience, the achievements, and the struggles that shape the Black community, but also allows us to reflect within our role models and reflect into ourselves in order to inspire those who are coming after us.
As a Black child, I simply saw myself in these homes. I saw myself living this life.
Wealth within the Black community at a time when African Americans weren't viewed as capable of achieving this level of success. We're taking you to the sweet streets of Sugar Hill.
An upscale community and business district back in the 1900s. Black-owned shops and mansions right here in Jacksonville. Wiped out by urban renewal, what's left of it now sits under I-95. But those who experienced Sugar Hill say it was a sweet spot in Black history.
Vivid hues of Sugar Hill. Oh, what a special time and place in Jacksonville's history. Streets lined with huge, well-kept homes, pricey cars rolling down the road alongside streetcars, as well-dressed men, women, girls, and boys went for a stroll. From the ashes of Jacksonville's Great Fire of 1901 emerged Sugar Hill, an area that flourished with prominent Black residents, millionaires, physicians, builders, names that ring a bell to this day. Abraham Lincoln Lewis, Joseph Haygood Blodgett, William M. Raines, and so many, many more. The epicenter of Black economic prosperity sat just west of Springfield, along Hogan's Creek and Springfield Park. Fueling development in Sugar Hill was the Colored Man's Railroad. The streetcar line, initially Black-owned, connected Northwest Jacksonville with the city's downtown. The vibrant, tight-knit community flourished for decades. Development in the 1950s and 1960s ravaged the elegant neighborhood. Homes were bulldozed for various projects, including highway development and the construction of what's now UF Health Jacksonville. The area, though changed, is not void of splendid memories and remnants of Sugar Hill.
That was artist Teresa Cook, and you heard there from author Marsha Dean Feltz. For some, Sugar Hill was a realization of a dream. It no longer exists, but the pride that area produced still exists in those who experienced it.
You could look within yourself and realize that, yes, I too am America. Yes, I too can live a beautiful life. Oh, yes, 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 yes.
The 8th Street Corridor, 8th and Jefferson, buried by what's now UF Health's Jacksonville campus.
That was the epicenter of Sugar Hill.
Marsha Dean Felt's sweet spot as a child. Mansions in the early 1900s owned by Black people, a community of prominence and pride.
I would walk to Sugar Hill from my home en route to my grandmother's house, en route to the YWCA.
Felt's routes were limited. Sugar Hill bordered Springfield, where the air seemed to change for this young girl during a segregated time.
Marcia could not go to Springfield Park. Marcia could not go to the swimming pool. And Marcia downtown could not try on clothes, could not try on shoes.
But here, she felt less stifled.
And businesses in the Black corridor, then you had your opportunities of supporting other businesses, you had respect, and your business was welcomed.
An unwelcomed change in the 1950s would disrupt the comfort Phelps grew to enjoy.
Sugar Hill came down because of urban removal, because we want this corridor. We need this corridor.
It began with the expansion of hospitals, the construction of roads, the interstate. And while most of the families that once enjoyed this elegant community left, there were those who refused to move out of the way.
You would see this hospital sprawl all around the 8th Street corridor, Jefferson Street, Illinois, Calhoun. But that one lone house with the tree outside, it just stood and stayed and remained until his death.
The demise of Sugar Hill, its homes, Black-owned businesses, and community leaves behind a sense of longing for those who experienced what it once was.
And it hurts to this day as I drive along 8th Street and Jefferson Street, and these homes are no longer there.
It's part of the game now. We're no longer standing out. We are in it.
Learning cold, hard facts on the ice. Hockey's Black history when we return.
Welcome back. You're watching Vivid Hues, Stories of Black History. Former pro hockey player Dan Hickman fell in love with a game where he didn't often see himself reflected on the ice. Hickman and artist Chris Clark share the origins of hockey's Black history.
Stick handling, body checking, a dangerous game that divides and unites, fighting for their place in a game they love. The origins of hockey's Black history dates back to 1895 in Halifax, Nova Scotia, where the Colored Hockey League of the Maritimes was born. Created by Pastor James Borden, James A.R. Kinney, Henry Sylvester Williams, and James Robinson Johnston. Initially organized to increase church attendance, its popularity grew. Creating a league of their own, modern staples of the game, including the slap shot and the goaltender's butterfly technique, can be traced back to the Colored Hockey League. Players like Eddie Martin and Henry Braces Franklin. By 1958, the National Hockey League saw its first Black player, Willie O'Ree, blazing a path for future generations who too would face off against adversity. Exposed to cold, hard facts. Val James endured jeers pelted on the ice, hatred hitting hard. The squeeze is felt, but the fight continues. By 1984, Grant Fuhr's name is etched on the Stanley Cup, a first in NHL history. The Hockey Hall of Fame is making room for Angela James, Fuhr, and O'Ree. A sheet of ice where obstacles are tackled, dreams are cultivated, and history is made.
So hockey isn't a sport where you'll see a lot of Black players on one team. So when Daniel Hickman hit the ice 18 years ago with 2 Black players by his side leading the Jacksonville Barracudas, it was a huge deal. We sat down with him at the Community First Igloo Ice Rink here in Jacksonville, where history was made. Dan, history was made here in Jacksonville on this ice. back in 2006, 2007, and you were a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, that was huge for me. And we had our championship here. We were at a team that wasn't even supposed to make it to the playoffs, but we beat the number 2 seed and we made it there.
The starting lineup for the Jacksonville Barracudas: Khalil Thomas, Tyrone Gardner, and Daniel Hickman, the second team in pro hockey history to play with an all-black line.
We were absolute force out there, and we were flying, and I'll never forget those moments because we were so in sync, and honestly I feel like we were feared out there.
Hickman grew up in Connecticut. He loved the game, but quickly realized he was in the minority on the ice. Do you remember what it was like when you saw your very first black hockey player? How old were you? Where were you? I think you remember it all.
I definitely remember. It was watching Peter Worrell in New Haven, Connecticut, at the New Haven Coliseum, which was knocked down, unfortunately. But I remember going to the game, wearing my Nighthawks hat, and seeing this player out there. I was like, whoa. When I saw Peter play, this guy was a beast. He's like 6'5". He's taking crap from nobody, and it was just great. And just to get him to sign the autograph after the game, it was really cool for me because that led me to want to play professional ice hockey.
Hickman would, in fact, go on to become a professional hockey player, but he, like the greats who came before him, faced hate pelted his way on the cold, hard ice.
They see this making history, all black line, but nobody sees what it was in the past, where like the things I had to go through, like Ku Klux Klan signs in the Knoxville bathroom before a pro game, or beating up one of their fighters in Tennessee and ended up getting called the N-word going to the penalty box.
Hickman has witnessed the color of hockey change over the years, and while racism may still linger on the ice, he says the hard hits he's felt have not been in vain.
Seeing all of the people out there, I feel like Ty, Khalil, myself, Peter Worrell, William O'Ree, all these guys are just pioneers, and I'm just proud and honored to be part of that, because now it's part of the game now. We're no longer standing out. We are in it.
I think it's important that our young people know their legacy, where they came from. They need to know the struggles that their ancestors had in order to get where we are.
Sugar Hill was the realization of a dream. You could look within yourself and realize that, yes, I too am America. Yes, I too can live a beautiful life. Oh, yes, 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 yes.
Thank you for watching tonight's special presentation of Vivid Hues Stories of Black History. To learn more about all of the artists featured here tonight, simply visit the First Coast News app. And of course, I'll see you each weekday morning on Good Morning Jacksonville. I'm Keitha Nelson. Good night.